miracles abound. All we want, oh, it's what we were born for. The miracles abound. Wherever love is found. It looks like we've done it again. It looks like we've done it again. It looks like we've done it again. It looks like we've done it. Looks like. Thanks again.
Yes.
So it's time for meditation. We're going to center and breathe, and however you're comfortable doing that. I always like to have my feet flat on the floor. I have the feeling of the connection to Mother Earth, that wonderful energy that comes up and feeds us. And then to just try to put anything out of my mind that might be coming in from any direction. You know, maybe something that happened yesterday, maybe some concern about tomorrow, whatever. Just put all that away. And go into that place where we know our connection with the divine. Maybe we forget it sometimes. Maybe we get out of sync with it sometimes. But the truth is we're never out of sync with it. Just we think we are. And in that sacred place, we know our connection, we know our beingness. We know what unity calls oneness. One with all that is. One with that gentle, loving, infinite energy that is defined as God or many other names. And we think about our breathing, perhaps turning off our light or lighting a candle, and relaxing into that innermost part of us. Taking deep breaths if we are able, holding them as long as we are comfortable, and then letting go. Letting go. Letting go. Infinite Spirit, Divine Holy All, incredible Creator, source of all love, divine well-being and health. We center in that energy now as we recognize and acknowledge our own divinity within, and seeing it all around us as we walk through this world. How blessed we are. How sacred is this time. What a gift to be alive and on the planet today. As we clear our minds of busyness or troubles or doubts or fears or even plans, so we just clear our minds for a moment. We collect and connect into that consciousness. We allow ourselves to go deeper into a place of sacred silence for a few moments. A place where guidance, nudges, inspiration come easily to us. place where we know beyond knowing that we are not alone on this life journey, and that indeed we carry that energy and life and love of spirit with us as we walk in this world, lighting our own path and that of others. As we gently glide into the silence now. And in that deep quiet, if thoughts come in or distractions, we just sweep them away, embracing the quiet. In the silence, there is peace. Feel that. Peace, be still. We think about our breathing again. The deep gratitude that we can always give ourselves the gift of meditation. Whether it's in deep silence with a candle, or whether we're out walking in the world, enjoying nature, or in conversation with a friend, that can be meditative. Or writing in our journal. Again, turn to the breath, bringing ourselves gently back to the moment, opening eyes only when you're ready, perhaps turning on a light. Maybe a stretch. And do not be surprised at all if later today or in the days ahead you get some clear guidance from Spirit. Perhaps you just did. But I believe that time that we spend in meditation keeps us open, even when life gets, maybe it doesn't happen to you, but sometimes my life gets hectic and kind of, And that's the times that I remember meditation. maybe it's a moment where I can't go into meditation, so busy. But just thinking about what meditation feels like, or remembering my oneness, helps me get out of the busyness and the worry or the concern, and just hold again into that truth and that space. This is from Eric Butterworth, his quote: "Metaphysical thinking is not programming the mind with positives. It's waking up the mind to the deep underlying positive, which is the truth of your being. You are the creative expression of this infinite process." That's rich, and that's deep, and we're going to talk a little more about that. And from John 14, verse 1, "Do not let your hearts be troubled. Believe in God. Believe also in me." So Eric Butterworth is amazing. This is relatively new published book, Practical Metaphysics, A New Insight in Truth by Eric. This was published by Unity Books, helped along with the many, many recorded versions that were transcribed by Mark Hicks on his website. If you're not familiar with it and you love Unity things, go to truthunity.net. Oh my gosh, you can get lost in there. It is so many, many references and whole texts of books that are in the public domain, and information about Unity pioneers and early ministers. Just wonderful, wonderful resource. And again, that's truthunity.net. Eric, he's kind of a fun writer. He likes to quote people. He kind of drops names, as one of my teachers told me. I think he was kind of around the same time as some of these folks. But he says this: he was very much into the core of what I would call the core of metaphysics. Not just positive thinking, I'm gonna change my mind, I'm gonna keep saying something over and over again, like he just mentioned in the quote about affirmations. And I'm not knocking affirmations, they have helped me so much in my lifetime. But it's more than just saying, I am abundant, I am abundant, I am abundant, I am abundant. It's more than that. It's going into the true nature of your oneness with spirit, which is prosperity and abundance, and then tagging into that, reminding yourself that that is what you are. He says, you're not just a mind that thinks. You are unique. You are a unique and wonderful identity with an infinite mind. And you have the power to think what you want to think. Thank you, God. You have the power to think what you want to think and to react as you train yourself to react. Now, this is important, he says. It's not a simple thing. We're expressing in a very simple way, but it's a fundamental truth that is important. How do we train ourselves to react to things? Well, one way we can do that is being aware of our thinking and knowing that we get to choose. New Thought, the whole movement, which includes science of mind, religious science, it used to be called, and they changed their name. I'm glad they did, because that was kind of confusing. Religious science? What is that? So, Science of Mind, Centers for Spiritual Living now. And a lot of the New Thought network have all been about thinking. If you just look at the literature or just read or hear some of it, it's more about thinking. It's knowing. It's knowing on a deep and perfect level of all the responsibility we have to not only say these affirmations, but to know them, and choosing every single day, in every single encounter, in every single part of our lives, knowing that we can choose how we react to things. That's a big deal. It is a big deal. To look at something and hear something or be involved in a conversation or have something come into your life, like the passing of my dear friend Cindy Lou, can come into, and yes, it's sad. My little dog is probably in the last months of his life. It's sad, but we get to choose how we react to that. I can focus on the person or the dear thing passing, or I can choose on the love that I expressed and felt. If there's a challenge in some area of our life, like work or dreams or goals, and it doesn't seem to be happening, we can focus on what isn't working. We can focus on what is. And we get to choose how to react. If someone comes up to us and says something that we don't like, could be a friend, could be a stranger, we can get all reactive, right? Or we can say, I'm not gonna think about it in that way. I'm gonna bless this person. I'm gonna know that we all have the right to say things sometimes that might not be agreeable to someone else. So that's huge. And we're talking today about the masks we wear. And masks are fun, and masquerades are fun. But ask yourself, perhaps, what masks am I wearing in my life? Am I connected with my emotions? Am I connected with my purpose? Am I holding the truth of my being? Now, how do we know that? By prayer and meditation, by knowing how we want to walk in this world, and then saying, am I masking my feelings? And sometimes it's allowing the feelings to come out. New Thought, Unity, again, has had some perceptions from people that it's all good all the time, it's all good all the time, everything's good, everything's fine. Well, maybe not in the physical. Might be going through things, might be really hard. But when we go to that oneness, when we know that we are divine beings in a divine body, living a divine experience. You know, they used to say, oh, I'm a human body having a human experience. And it was, oh, I'm a human body having a spiritual experience. But let's go, I'm a spiritual body having a spiritual experience. We are here to live, and we are here to express and to know our emotions also. I was talking to a friend about cognitive or emotional diffusion, where when things get really tough, or you're angry at something, it's okay to be angry, you actually diffuse it. You can do this, I'll tell you one way. There's many, many ways you can look it up. There's a wealth of information on it. Let's say you're just really, what's a good one to pick? Really perplexed. And I don't like being perplexed. This thing isn't working out. It's angsty, it's perplexed. So maybe the word angst, because that's fun to spell anyway. You write it on a piece of paper, or you type it on your computer. If you write it on a piece of paper, you can have trees and leaves and birds singing in the word. And it helps change it. It helps move it into our different way of looking at it. And you can take a font on the computer, you can write angst, and change the font. You ever worked with like word letters? Sean's nodding his head. You can make it like this, you can put it on a semicircle, you can make it different colors, and then you can look at it and say, oh, it's okay that I'm feeling angst, it's okay that I'm feeling upset or sad or whatever it is, and just lighten the load a little bit. I also think we wear masks when we aren't being completely honest with ourselves. If we put our dreams or goals aside, if we've let the busyness of life kind of blur what we really want to do, what we really want to, how we want to express in this world. So much wisdom from one person has been gifted to me over the years. The first time I got this book, and the person's Hafiz, pronounced different ways, who lived in the 1300s, a Sufi poet. This translation is by Daniel Ladinsky. If you read the original Sufi poets, the poetry is sometimes hard to understand and it can be a little confusing. Ladinsky did the translations in a modern form, using modern language. So if he mentions the garbage man, I know that it probably wasn't a garbage man back in the 13th, maybe there was. Let me share a couple poems from here with you. Do you know that everything you do is sacred? Just like we mentioned, spiritual being having a spiritual experience. Now is the time to know that all that you do is sacred. Now, why not consider a lasting truth between yourself and God? Now is the time to understand that all your ideas of right and wrong were just a child's training wheels to be laid aside when you can finally live with veracity and love. Hafiz is a divine envoy on whom the beloved has written a holy message. Think about God writing a holy message on you. My dear, please tell me, why do you still throw sticks at your heart and at God? What is it in that sweet voice inside that incites you to fear? Now is the time for the world to know that every thought and action is sacred. This is the time for you to deeply compute the impossibility that there is anything but God. Now is the season to know that everything you do, everything we do, everything you do is sacred. Think about reading some Hafiz or Rumi. Perhaps you like Rumi. I'm looking for another one. It's probably not going to come up, so I'm going to say what I remember of it. There are so many gifts that have been given to you on your birthday. There are so many divine ideas that have been given to you by God. The beloved is a name for God in the Sufi poetry because they couldn't always write about their belief systems. The beloved and I break into such sweet laughter, such sweet laughter, every time you think that you are less than that. There are so many gifts that have been given to you on your birthday, just by being born. There are so many hand-wrapped presents that have been given to you by God. So today, perhaps remember, this is a sacred journey that we're on. And sure, we live in the human and we have human interactions and they don't always feel sacred, and that's okay too. Remember perhaps to think about what masks we might be wearing in this world. Are we being honest with ourselves? Is the mask actually keeping us from hearing our own voices? What is the voice inside you that we may not have let express completely? Is it a dream that you put aside? Is it a way of living and being on which path you may have strayed off? Is it a person that you have cut from your life for any particular reason? Maybe it seemed like a good reason, and it doesn't mean you have to go back there. But to just bless that person for all the gifts they gave you. Is it a way of moving into the future that you haven't yet allowed yourself to dream about? You haven't yet gifted yourself with the time and the focus and the decision making to be in the quiet, or to write down your thoughts, and to say, Sarah, just asking Spirit, with a pen and a pencil in your hand, waiting for the answer to come, and say, is there something that you have gifted me with that I have yet to see? Is there something I could do even better with this life? Is there some nudge or some fabulous thing that I may have closed my eyes to because I don't yet believe enough in myself? Wow, all those things. I know that's how I'm going to spend part of my evening. And just a little bit more from beloved Eric Butterworth. When you think of yourself as being capable and creative, you are not going to make yourself capable and creative. It's going back to the affirmations. I am capable, I'm creative, I'm capable, I'm creative. Look at the switch, the shift he puts on this. You cannot say to yourself over and over, I'm a creative creature, I'm a creative creature, I'm a creative creature. So I won't have us repeat that, because he said don't say that. What's the alternative? You're not going to become creative because you keep saying that to yourself. You're not going to be creative because you say you're creative. But when you understand the technique involved, you say you're creative because you know that innately you're creative. It's very subtle and so very important. So that applies to anything you may be affirming. And I'm not knocking affirmations, I still use them. But if you're saying, I'm prosperous, or money flows to me easily, or I am a divine being walking in the world, with that kind of energy of like, I gotta believe this, I gotta believe this, a higher way to approach that is to know it. Emily Cady, I'm health. I'm spirit, perfect, holy, harmonious, say this. Perfect, holy, harmonious, nothing can hurt me or make me sick or afraid. Because spirit is God. And God cannot be sick or hurt or afraid. I manifest my real self through this body now. And while I say that for myself, I say it for others too. Not because I'm projecting that onto them, but because I'm seeing it in them. Those things help us remove the mask that might be keeping us from truly knowing who and whose we are. And so it is. Thank you all, especially for the little glitches at the beginning of the service. Kevin does so much for us here. I'm so appreciative of him. I think we stopped counting the Sundays that we've been live streaming, but I think we stopped counting at 60 or so, but it's been a lot of Sundays.
Or past 100.
Probably 100, you're right, because we had some other services in too. So thank you once again, Kevin. Thank you all for being here in person and for everyone that's watching on the live stream. We have what we call a sacred exchange, because it's not just taking an offering or supporting the church, which we deeply appreciate, especially during these months. It's a sacred giving, knowing that as we give, we receive. Pressed down, flowing over. All right, we have a sacred exchange basket up there and some around the room, and many people like to donate online to support us. We really appreciate that. We mentioned the last couple of weeks that we had a very high bill that came in for some maintenance that needed to be taken care of. And if even 40 people gave an extra $20 in the month ahead, that would be extremely helpful. And we're very grateful for those that are in the consistent giving program. It is not something we insist on, it's something people do on their own. So, we have our ways to support Unity Athens up on the board. All of them are available through our website and our P.O. Box. I always like to mention, don't send mail to the Bells Plaza address. Use our P.O. Box 1662, Athens 30603. We hold our gifts, or the thought of our gifts, or the thought of our abundance over our hearts. Again, not saying, I'm prosperous. This is going to come back to me, multiplied 10,000 times. No, we just know I'm one. When I give, I receive. I'm in this flow of God and good, and that is wonderful. So we can say our sacred exchange together, where we put Mother, Father, God. That's an older slide, and I'm trying really not to be genderizing God these days. I had many times in the past that you use your name for God. That might be what you call God. I'm more like infinite spirit. Divine love, let's say it together, flowing through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am so blessed. Thank you, infinite spirit. Amen, and so it is. So I'm going to walk over here, off camera, hi. And we also have a change jar there if you have any, if your pockets are getting heavy or your purse, feel free to use our change jar. So we're going to have some music. Kevin, do you have I Say My Love available? Wait, do you have another song, Sean?
Sure.
Sean will do the song. Sean will do the closing song. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bronte, will you announce that Martha's our prayer chaplain for today?
Oh, thank you so much, Peggy. So Martha is our prayer chaplain for today. She's available to anyone that would like to pray with her. How do you do that? Just go up to her after the service and say, Martha, could you pray with me? And she'll take you in a quiet spot and you're wearing masks and she will pray with you. I just prayed with her last Sunday and it was very helpful. Thank you, Martha.
Come to me, oh lonesome friend. Most of all that could have been. Keep company like a bitter wind. Embrace you like a vine. All letters written, never sent. Saying things I think I meant. Just a payment of my good intent. And a box I left behind. And over all my history, so many lifetimes incomplete. And I repeat my past replete with lessons I declined. I imagine you have been here too, haunting places long bereft of you. Come to me, I am your friend, and I don't care where you have been. Come home, Father, come home, son. I don't care what you have done. Come to me, I am your friend. That's an older one, and I gave you the Reader's Digest version.
You got the special version. I want to add one thing to our service. Thank you, Kevin. November 1st is celebrated as Dia de los Muertos. It's very sacred tradition. I believe it originated in Mexico, but I know when I visited my family out in New Mexico, many of the churches had altars for the Day of the Dead. And we have some candles up here, and I'm going to light them as we're closing out, and as Kevin is playing Let There Be Peace on Earth. Excuse the change, Kevin. If there's someone in your life that has passed, it's a way of thanking them. It's a way of honoring them. The traditions are beautiful if you want to look into it. There are altars, people put them in their homes with pictures of their, not just the past year like many of us have been doing lately, but in the past, the dear ancestors, the family, the friends that are meaningful to you and what they gave you in their lives, as we light candles and picture the beauty of this gift of life. And we all know it doesn't go forever in the physical. And that's part of the joy of it. We get to live today. So as I light candles and Kevin plays Let There Be Peace on Earth, we will just celebrate Dia de los Muertos. Feel free to sing along if you'd like. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, there's someone in your life that has been extremely meaningful to you, passing and send light and love and gratitude for their presence in your life. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let that peace begin with you. Thank you so much, Kevin. Thank you, prayer chaplains, Peggy and Martha, if you'd like to pray with her. And let's give Sean Arrington a final round of applause for your wonderful music today. And give Michelle a plug. If you want to learn how to have a really healthy body through physical direction, she's the physical director.
Yes.
Check out Michelle Arrington. Her site is
Elevate Athens or elevateonlinestudio.com.
wonderful, wonderful
Yeah.
classes.
You could do it all from home.
Yes, wow. Yeah.
You have to repeat that.
Okay. Elevate Athens or Elevate
ElevateOnlineStudio.com.
onlinestudio.com, Michelle Arrington.
Yes.
Thank you.
And don't forget November the 14th.
November 14th.
When we celebrate.
Yes, we're having a big anniversary celebration, so please consider being here in person. It'll be my 17th year here at Unity Athens. It's actually my 21st year in ministry, and it's 75 years that Unity has been in Athens. 70.
Oh, 75, right?
25. Oh yeah, look that up.
20.
Okay, 1974. Someone do the math quickly. 25, 35, I don't know. 45.
There you go, it's 45.
We'll just 75, 45, pick a number, 3,000, who knows? But we're gonna celebrate all that. We're gonna have some special things and some healthy, cleanly handled snacks in the back room. I think everyone's concerned about things so much. So please consider the 14th. Thank you for that, Peggy. Have a wonderful day. Stay and chat if you want, or go and pray. And again, thank you, Sean.